.com. That's TechGemVT.com.
New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, supporting one-of-a-kind local businesses like WDEV to preserve the distinct character of Vermont. The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to WDEV@radiovermont.com.
The energy.
So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show tonight, all 90 minutes. We're up until 7 o'clock. Then remember, we got some jazz music coming up, and then we've got game one of the NLCS between the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. That coverage is at 7:30. First pitch is just after 8. We got the ALCS game going on right now, in which the Rangers are onslaughting the Astros by a score right now of 5-1. I believe it is in the third inning. Danny and I have it on in the studio, but paying lukewarm attention. We'll provide you any updates if the game gets closer. Full show again, as I said. We got some Red Sox news, some Celtics news as well. Yes, we're going to get to the Patriots right off the top, and Stephen Wiedler is going to stop by. He is the interim hockey coach on the men's side over at UVM. He took over for Todd Woodcroft after everything that happened with the program this summer. Catamounts opened up their season this weekend with a 1-1 split. Good job for them to get a win at St. Lawrence. Lost in overtime against Clarkson, a tough 3-2 affair. But hey, Coach Wiedler, 1-1 in his Catamount tenure, and this will be our first time talking with him at about 6:20. You can get in on the text line, 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. I am here. Danny is here. Lego.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber, also Rouse's Point, New York. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. So Texter gets in on the text line over the weekend, 802-585-3026. Text came in over the weekend, unnamed texter, and they say, Brady, previously you said you were done yelling about the Patriots. I want to remind you, you said that. No yelling. What, this texter trying to play gotcha games with me, trying to remind me, hey, I told you so. Let me tell you something. I don't need you to remind me that I said I wasn't going to yell at the Patriots. I knew that I said that. I said that last Monday. I said last Monday that I was at the point where I'm just about done yelling with the Patriots, and then I will transition to a state of apathy if they keep losing. I don't need you to remind me of that. I know what I said. Okay? I know what I said on this show. I know what I'm going to say on this show right now. And I'm going to remind you. I said that last week, and I will mean that today. I am not going to yell today. That I am transitioning my Patriots watching and critiquing habits for the rest of the year. That's what happens when you come into a season with optimism, and that optimism is frustratingly not being met. Well, you know what? I didn't have ultimate optimism, but a lot of you did. So when I get optimism shoved down my throat, and then that optimism is being frustratingly not met, well, then I am going to yell because everybody else told me it was going to be better. Okay, everybody told me this was a team that could contend for the playoffs. And when that's clearly not happening early, or you're doing stupid mistakes, I am going to yell. But now as you transition to 1-4 and now 1-5 after a 21-17 loss against the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday, when you hit that mark, there's nothing left to yell about. I don't need the texter to remind me of that. I know that. Okay, I'm not going to yell today. Let me just tell you straight up the facts. The Patriots got beat yesterday 21-17. They are now 1-5. As they have done just about all year, the Patriots did things that bad football teams do. It's that simple. When we look back at the Patriots season this year, whether they end up 1-16 or 3-14 or 5-12 or 7-10, whatever it is, when we look back at this team, there are going to be two things that stick out to us. One, the overall roster was deficient, and that led to them just not having enough good players. And the other thing is that the Patriots continuously did things that bad teams do. You look at the Patriots, right? They were in that game with Philly, a couple plays here and there, lost it for them. They're in that game with Miami, a couple plays here and there, lost it for them. They're in this game yesterday, couple games here and there, lost it for them. It's true. They are a few plays away from being 4-2 instead of 1-5. But that's the NFL. A few plays tends to cause games to go one way or the other. The good teams find a way to make those plays. The bad teams find a way to not make those plays. And that is what the Patriots have done, right? I'm not going to yell anymore.
Texter says you're yelling.
What's that?
Texter says you're yelling.
I'm not yelling at all.
I don't think so, but the texter said you're yelling.
I'm having a rational, honest conversation, right? I'm going to yell after week 1. I'm going to yell after week 2. I'm going to yell when you get embarrassed in week 4. And I yelled last week when you got embarrassed in week 5. I'm not yelling now. I'm transitioning how I watch this team and how I critique this team. This team is a bad football team. They are doing things that bad football teams do, and they are doing them habitually. What is the Patriots' identity? The identity now is not that they're a run team, that they're a defense team, that they're a passing first team. None of that's their identity. Their identity is that they make the mistakes that good teams don't make. It's that simple. They don't have good enough players, one, and they make mistakes that bad teams make, two. That's the season, right? That's the NFL in a lot of cases. A lot of teams' season comes down to making or not making those few plays, your roster being good enough or not good enough, and then 3 is injuries. And that's impacted the Patriots as well, but not as much as the first 2, I would think. The Patriots threw an interception yesterday in the red zone. Horrific pass by Mac Jones, right? Horrific decision, horrific pass, horrific accuracy for a guy who's supposed to be good up top and for supposed to be accurate. It's a horrible throw on the run, back across his body. It's a bad decision. It's a bad pass. It wasn't even close. It costs you points potentially before the end of the half, and it ended up giving the Raiders 3 points before the end of the half, right? Patriots could have gone into the half tied at 10. They could have gone in down 10-6. Instead, they go in down 13-3 and down double digits once again. That's what bad football teams do. Danny, pull up the number for me, please. It was 8 of 12 at one point near the end of the game, but tell me exactly the third down statistics in this game, because the Raiders carved them up. Good teams win on third down. Bad teams lose on third down. Okay, when you start thinking about what are the individual stats that go into a football team's ability to win and lose, turnovers is always going to be one. Third down is going to be the other. And the Patriots got killed yet again on third down, right? Like the Raiders, again, they were 8 of 12 at one point into the fourth quarter. And it was the tight end at the beginning of the game. And it was Jacoby Myers at the middle of the game as well. It was anybody that the Raiders wanted it to be, whether it was Jimmy Garoppolo or Brian Hoyer or me playing at quarterback. There were passes getting completed on third down. Danny, did you find the official stat yet?
Not yet.
ESPN.com, box score, team stats. There you go. I promise it's going to have ended up with the Raiders at like above 50% for sure and pushing 60%, because it's just, that's another thing that bad teams do. Okay. Devontae Parker had a massive drop, right? Despite all the other frustrations, the Patriots had a chance to come back and win that game. They did, right? You'll look at it and say they lost by 4 and they had a chance. They were down 19-17 with 2 minutes to play. They had a second down play. Mac throws a beautiful ball, best ball Mac's thrown all season, 40 yards down the field, hits Devontae Parker right in the hands, drops it. That's what bad teams do. Good teams make that play. Bad teams let it go off your fingertips. That's who the Patriots are now.
Raiders were 8 of 16 on third down.
Okay, 50%. So it was 8 of 12 at one point that I last remember distinctly seeing it. Couple of stops at the end for the Patriots, still 50%. Okay? Good teams, 50% or above. Bad teams are in the third. What did the Patriots go offensively on third down, Danny?
They went 6 of 12.
6 of 12 is 50%. It shocks me because it was lower than that for a while. At one point, they were in 3rd and 8. They were 0-2 on that. So 6 of 12 is not terrible. Now, obviously, the Raiders had more chances, but 6 of 12, not terrible for the Patriots offense, but they got carved up defensively. For a team that's supposed to be defensively oriented, to give up 8 of 16 on 3rd down and at one point be 8 of 12 is an embarrassment. And that's where the Patriots were. So you have the drop pass, you're bad on 3rd down, 10 penalties, including multiple on your last drive. I mean, look at the last drive, right? The last drive. 2nd down, Patriots going to call it for a hold. Next play, Devontae Parker drops the pass. 3rd down, delay of game. 4th down, safety. That's your last drive. That's your chance to have a game-winning drive, and that's how it ends up. That is what bad teams do. And the Patriots now are just doing things that bad teams do. The Patriots have failed to score 20 points in every game this season, right? In the NFL, where it is increasingly easy to score, and the play is so good offensively, and the minds are so creative, and the rules are skewed for offense, the Patriots have yet to score 20 points. Danny, you're an NBA guy. Failing to score 20 points is like failing to score 100 in the NBA, right? You should be able to get 100 with your eyes closed in modern NBA basketball. The Patriots are equivalent of an NBA team that's averaging 93 points a game. It just doesn't happen anymore in modern day basketball. It doesn't happen anymore in modern day football. But this is who the Patriots are. Okay? They fail to do the little things. Forever, they did all the little things right? They didn't commit penalties. They allowed you to beat yourself. The other team would turn it over 3 times. You'd turn it over 0. You'd score touchdowns in the red zone. They'd get field goals. Now it's reversed. The Patriots are an also-ran in the NFL. And I'm not yelling about it. I'm just telling you the facts. Right? I'm just telling you the facts. And it's not just me changing my tune. Danny, after the game, Bill Belichick was changing his tune as well.
I think we, as a team, we all responded. They all responded pretty well, competed well.
Right there. We just lost 21-17 in a game in which we blew. I got beat by a backup quarterback who, by the way, we didn't think was good enough to still play for us. We just got beat. We're now 1-5. We're headed for a top 5 draft pick. And his answer is we all responded pretty well.
Better than 0 points. Well,
yeah, but you know what? We talked all first 2 weeks of the season about whether the Patriots were getting moral victories. Your head coach is now giving out moral victories. That's where the season is. If he's going to start giving out moral victories, why am I going to yell? I'm not going to yell anymore. I'm not going to waste my vocal cords on yelling about this team. I like this team. I will root for this team. I will want this team to win. I want my fandom rewarded. I want my Sundays happy, my Mondays happy, my Thursdays happy, but I'm not going to yell anymore. From now on, let me tell you the manual of how you should watch the Patriots. You should be watching for improvement. That's it. Okay? I want the result, but the result no longer matters. Some of you don't want the result. Some of you want the team to tank and want the team to go get Caleb Williams or Drake May or Shedeur Sanders or whoever's out there in the draft. And if that's how you want to root, I disagree with it, but I'm not going to tell you how to fan. But I want the Patriots to win. I will root for the result, but I'm not going to be paralyzed by the result. I'm now going to just look for little things. I'm going to look for subtleties. I'm going to look for improvement, right? Can Mac Jones improve? Whether you like him or not, he's still the best quarterback on your roster. You still have to make a decision about him for 2024. You still have to make a decision about him for his 5th-year option. Can he improve over the course of the next 11 games? That's a huge storyline. And whether or not the team goes 0-11 or 11-0 or somewhere in between, Mac Jones needs to improve. And that's what I'll be watching more than the overall record. That's number 1. 2, can Bill O'Brien be creative offensively? Right? That's what I want to see. Bill O'Brien was supposed to be the guy who saved this offense. Now, he's played with one hand behind his back, given he's limited at quarterback, he's limited on the line, and he's limited at receiver. And I recognize that. But the very best offensive minds can make something out of nothing. I want to see if Bill O'Brien can do that, right? Remember back to 2020. And we had Cam, who really, as much as I like him, and I will always say I like Cam. I liked him more than a lot of you, but he wasn't a great thrower of the football. In 2020, the Patriots with Cam, with that version of Cam, and with Damiere Byrd as their number 1 receiver, won 7 games, right? They went 7-9. Josh McDaniels extracted every pound of flesh out of that offense. Can Bill O'Brien find a way to do the same? Patriots offense had some things that were competent yesterday, right? They ran the ball much more effectively. I thought Ezekiel Elliott did some things very well. And we'll get to unpacking the Patriots here in a little bit. So there were some things that were good yesterday. Sadly, that offensive performance represented progress for the Patriots. Can Bill O'Brien keep that going? Because I want to know if he's going to be my guy in 2024. So I'll be looking for improvement from him. I'll be looking for improvement from Mac. I'll be looking for buy-in from this team, right? This whole thing, the whole conversation for the rest of the year is going to be about Mac, and it's going to be about Bill Belichick's future. Right? Is Bill going to get fired? Is Bill going to get traded? Is Bill going to resign? Are they going to strip Bill of this title? Are they going to force him to the front office? Whatever. If Bill O'Brien can get, or if Bill Belichick rather, can get buy-in from this team and keep this team playing hard and can keep this team motivated, well, then you might see the front office sway towards keeping him. If these guys check out on Bill Belichick and he can't connect, and it's proven that he can't, and guys are slumping their shoulders, and guys are playing for their paychecks only, and guys are playing individualistic, Robert Kraft and Jonathan Kraft may look at it and say, okay, Belichick can no longer resonate with these players, with this team, in this city, in this locker room, whatever. Be looking for that as we move through the rest of the season. And then, as always, be looking at young players, right? I'm less concerned now about what Kendrick Bourne looks like the rest of the year, or what Adrian Phillips looks like the rest of the year. I'm interested now in what young players do, young players that might be a part of this thing in the future. What about Christian Barmore? What about Keon White? Left the game yesterday, but what about Keon White when healthy? What about Jack Jones, who's going to come back soon from injured reserve? What about getting Cole Strange back on the offensive line at some point and seeing how he looks? Those are the things that I'm going to look at now. Can they ever get anything out of Tyquan Thornton, or is he N'Keal Harry 2.0? This is how you watch a bad football team now, right? You always, in some ways, this is a gift, right? We all want to see the Patriots win, but if they're not going to win and get to the playoffs, you might as well remove the stress of the result from your life and watch them this way. I promise you, every year, I talk about my baseball season, and I talk about burying the Mariners, right? And whenever I bury the Mariners, that means I can watch the game, I can root for the team, but I'm no longer going to get angry, and I'm no longer going to be as emotionally tied to every result. I still want my team to win, but I'm not going to be in a bad mood because of a loss. Some years I've buried the Mariners on Memorial Day. Some years I've buried them on July 4th. Some years I've buried them on September 1st. And some years I've buried them on the last day of the season. But so the Patriots are buried as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to let the result dictate my life anymore. I'm going to let the process take over. And I'm going to start watching for little things. Max development, Bill's buy-in, Bill O'Brien's creativity, young receiver development, young DBs, any of my young players, and then guys who are coming up towards contract years, right? Mac, Josh Uche, all these guys. Who do I want to sign? Who do I want to keep? Who do I want long-term? Duggar, who do I want to give big money to? This is now how you watch a losing football team. It was an ugly game. It's been an ugly season. It's not going to end pretty. I think this Bill Belichick stuff is going to be very, very messy. But as for the texter who reminds me, Brady, you said you're not going to yell. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to yell. Text 802-585-3026. Texter says, Brady's yelling at me. Yeah, no, I'm not yelling. Yeah, okay. Text says, proves this. Brady was the Patriots in every facet. I think this definitely gives Brady more credit. But you know what? Let me say this. I don't want to discount everything Bill Belichick has done, okay? And I think there are going to be people that want to discount it. There are going to be people who say, okay, it was all Brady, it was no Belichick. It's always the players, right? The players always are the biggest factor in a team's success, right? Every great coach has great players. That's a fact. So to sit here and say that Belichick needed Brady to be great, of course he did. But to sit here and say that Belichick is terrible, I'm not willing to go that far. I do believe that Bill Belichick, the general manager, has done a bad job. Okay, here is the difference. Bill Belichick has always been able to take C players and make them B minuses, right? He's always been able to take you to a level a little bit better than you're supposed to be, right? Bill Belichick helped get Jacoby Myers the contract that he got. He helped get J.C. Jackson the contract that he got, Malcolm Butler the contract that he got. Bill Belichick does have a history of taking players and making them better than we all thought they were going to be. That's absolutely historically true. The problem with this roster is that there are so many C players that the Bill Belichick coaching, I mean, all he's doing is taking a bunch of C's to C pluses or B minuses, and that's not going to win in the NFL. When Tom Brady was an A and a bunch of other guys were playing at B minus level, Patriots are pretty good. Mac Jones is a C. You heard it there. I had it. I don't know if it's still on the intro, but I had it forever. If this were a video game where every player in the league is ranked from 0 to 100 based on their ability, Mac Jones to me would be a 76. And that means that you are okay. You're not horrible, but you're not great. Tom Brady was a 99. If we're talking about Madden football ratings, Tom Brady was a 99. A 99 quarterback can play with a bunch of 76s. But when a 76 quarterback is playing with a bunch of 76s, you get where we're at now. And so Bill Belichick, the GM, has failed Bill the coach. And that's the problem. 802-585-3026. Danny, we actually did have some good things to talk about today, right? Contrary to the final result, we do have some good things to talk about. So first off, give me the music for unpacking the Patriots. And give me the sounder.
Which Patriot popped?
To the 30, to the 20. He is end zone bound. Pick six. Touchdown. Patriots.
And which ones flopped?
Jones steps up in the pocket, unloads a deep ball, and it's intercepted. That'll put the cherry on top.
We unpack the Patriots now on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
All right, let me start with the good, right? We've talked about it. It was ugly. We know that. Let me talk about a couple of good things, right? We talk about some of those silver linings here for the Patriots' 21-17 loss against Vegas. I'm going to give Ezekiel Elliott his flowers. This is a guy who has come in and done a good job. His role is limited. He's not as vital to this team as Ramondre Stevenson is. And the Patriots, unfortunately, are not in enough situations to truly utilize him. But he's found a way to contribute to this team. Right? I thought he would come in and get a bunch of third and one carries and a bunch of goal line carries. The Patriots haven't ended up being in those situations a whole lot, so they haven't been able to utilize what he does best. But you know what? He had 7 carries yesterday for 34 yards. He averaged nearly 5 yards a carry. Danny, he did get his first Patriots touchdown.
Cunningham is at quarterback. Now he's moving out. Looks like direct snap coming to Zeke. Will be his first touchdown as a Patriot. Going up and under. He's in for the touchdown.
You said he's got a little more juice. They should play him a little bit, Jim. I think he kind of showed.
I think he kind of showed you something. He also had a catch for 15 yards. And Danny, he had a 74-yard touchdown reception called back because of a penalty. I didn't think Ezekiel Elliott had enough burst left in those legs to get 74 yards and take a ball to pay dirt. He did that. Yeah, it got called back. It didn't get called back because of him. I'm very impressed with what I've seen from Ezekiel Elliott. And you know what? He's saying and doing the right things as well. For a team that, as we'll get to in a minute here, is lacking a bit of accountability, Ezekiel Elliott is being an adult in the room. And I don't know that I thought of him that way in Dallas, given some of the stuff that happened early in his career. 7 carries, 34 yards, 5 yards a carry, more than Ramondre, had a catch, still a good blocker in the pass game, and the 74-yard burst for a touchdown. That's a guy who's making a difference. It's not a big enough difference to sway a game for the Patriots, but he is making a difference. I give him a lot of credit for what he's doing in a limited role. Number 2, on the good, Danny, that hit from Jabril Peppers on Devontae Adams that forced the Jelani Tavai interception early on in the first half, that was a thing of beauty. Danny, play the interception.
Do we have that?
Yes, we do. Jelani Tavai.
We have all these different injuries.
2nd and 3. Oh, ball's up in the air. And it's intercepted off the deflection.
Tavai able to come up with it after the Peppers pop on Adams.
That is one of the best clean modern football hits I have ever seen, right? Davante Adams was a little shaken up. I don't want to make light of a guy who's getting hurt, but he did come back in the game. He does appear to be okay, so we could talk about that hit in these terms. That was a textbook, beautiful hit. It's kind of a slant. Davante Adams comes across the middle. Peppers lit him up, and he did it cleanly. He didn't spear him. He didn't lead with his head. He didn't go shoulder to the neck area. He hit him right in the body. The ball popped up, and the ball gets picked off by Jelani Tavai. You could not teach it any better than that. You could not coach it any better than that. You could not execute it any better than that. When this team signed Jabril Peppers before the year in 2022, I was excited about him because he's kind of a toolsy player. He's shown you a lot this year. And if the Patriots decide to sell at the trade deadline, Jabril Peppers might be a guy that has interest for other teams, right? He's returned punts. He's got athleticism. He can play in the back end of your defense, and he is a physical thumper. And I have always enjoyed physical thumpers from the safety position, whether we're talking about Ed Reed, whether we're talking about Troy Polamalu, whether we're talking about, I'm thinking about Cam Chancellor.
Luke Kuechly.
That's a linebacker. When we're talking about...
Hard hitters.
Linebacker, Danny. We're talking about the safeties. Landon Collins when he was with the Giants. I like hard-hitting safeties. I think they set the tone for a defense. I think Jabril Peppers had a beautiful hit yesterday, and it was clean. I really appreciate that. Finally, one more piece of good here. I actually like a lot of what Mac Jones did yesterday. The interception was horrific. And if you want to be a starting quarterback in the NFL for a winning team, you have to avoid making the big mistake. So at the end of the day, I understand the narrative is still going to be that Mac couldn't bring the team back, that Mac choked in the big time, that Mac made a bad decision under pressure. Some of that's true. But overall, I liked a lot of what Mac did. I thought it was going to be very, very constricting to watch him play quarterback yesterday, given how much they were telling him not to turn the ball over. Did some nice things, right? Made a pass to Gesicki that Gesicki ended up making a good catch on third down. The pass to Parker was phenomenal. There were things Mac did that were good. And for as hard as I've been on him, for as honest as I think I've been on him, I got to give him his props too. The pass to Devontae Parker was his best pass of the season. It was a phenomenal pass. It was right in the breadbasket, and he dropped it. And that's what bad teams do. They drop passes like that. But that was a throw that a good quarterback makes. And Mac Jones did, I think, more good than bad overall yesterday. Something that was bad, Danny, is it's again nothing out of Tyquan Thornton. Right? He just came off injured reserve. I didn't expect him to go 11 catches for 210 and 3 scores. But this guy was a second-round draft pick just last year. He had 1 catch for 6 yards. I mean, we talk about the Patriots whiffing on wide receivers. We talk about them whiffing on offensive talent. They haven't drafted a Pro Bowl player, Danny, a Pro Bowl offensive skill player since Gronk. Right? They do not draft and develop guys well on the offensive side of the ball to skill positions. Tyquan Thornton right now is another example of that.
2 targets.
2 targets, 1 catch, 6 yards. I mean, you can't have it, right? We talk about kind of things to watch for and development to watch for in the second half, in the next 11 games of the year. Tyquan Thornton's going to be one of them. He's got electric speed. But it's not just about can you run fast in a straight line? Can you run the entire route tree? Can you get open? Can you gain separation? Can you do something other than run a fly pattern? I don't know. Tyquan Thornton had a great catch in preseason, I remember, where he high-pointed the football in game 1, and I was impressed by that. I thought maybe we'd see more of that here in 2023. We didn't see it yesterday. Maybe we'll see it more often, but the next 11 games will tell us a lot about his future as well. I don't want him to be N'Keal Harry 2.0. A lot of receivers in the last several years that have come in the first or second round that have been great. Patriots pass on a lot of them. Tyquan Thornton hasn't been one of them. And now the Patriots are 1-5 and certainly facing a very uphill climb the rest of the way. All right. I got another bad thing I want to get to, but let me get to that on the other side of the CBS News update. So what we're going to do is we're going to step aside. We're going to get the CBS News update. I'm going to tell you what I didn't like about the post-game media handling from one member of the Patriots, and we're going to go through what exactly happened with Malik Cunningham, because I think a lot of people are confused by it. We'll talk about that next after CBS News on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush at 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield. In Berry at 96.5. In Montpelier at 98.3. Along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury, Montpelier. Streaming at WDEVradio.com. 92 years of serving Vermont. The friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks. Air raid sirens interrupted Secretary of State Antony Blinken's meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today, forcing the two to take shelter in a bunker. CBS's Holly Williams tells us this comes as Israel prepares for a massive ground offense in Gaza.
Soldiers told us they want the dangerous job of going into Gaza to fight Hamas. Not one of them is over the age of 20.
Are you ready for this war?
Yeah, we are ready, and we want to do it, to finish it, because they cut our friend's head and they killed too many people here in Israel.
More than 1,400 people have been killed in Israel, including 30 Americans. Americans are also among nearly 200 Hamas hostages. Military consultant Jeff McCausland.
I doubt very seriously Hamas is holding them in one central location. I would imagine they've dispersed them throughout the Gaza Strip. Therefore, there's no one single operation that could liberate them all.
Meantime, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is getting worse. Ian Bremmers with the Eurasia Group and says aid is stuck in Egypt.
The Egyptians are saying that they have no deal that the Israelis will stop bombing the south, a ceasefire temporarily that would allow humanitarian goods to come through and then would allow international citizens in Gaza to get out.
The U.S. has been working to facilitate those deliveries. Ohio's Jim Jordan is optimistic that he'll have the votes to become House Speaker. He rallied support today at the Capitol.
So we get the Speaker, we get the House open, and we get to work on the resolution and supplemental for Israel. And we get back to work for the American people. That's what I'm committed to doing. And I think it's going to happen tomorrow.
Former President Trump's under another partial gag order. CBS's Scott McFarland tells us this one restricts him from potentially trashing people involved in his January 6th trial next year.
Trump cannot target or repost statements about the special counsel himself or his family, about the court and the court staff, or about potential witnesses in this case.
A man in South Carolina just broke his own heat record by eating the hottest pepper in the world. The Pepper X is a crossbred Carolina Reaper. He says the pain was immediate and agonizing.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell.
Well, it may seem a little early for this, but millions of Americans are planning their holiday travel right now. Bankrate's Ted Rossman.
77% are making some sort of changes to their travel plans because of inflation. Most commonly driving instead of flying, taking fewer trips, and picking cheaper accommodations and or destinations.
1 in 4 travelers aren't worried about cash so much. It's more weather and delays. This is CBS News.
You need to hire? Indeed is with you every step of the way, helping you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text HIM to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text HIM to 321-321. That's HIM to 321-321.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Patriots lose to the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday. Final score was 21-17. As a result, the Patriots are 1-5, and any 1-7 is a very real possibility, if not a likelihood, right? They've got the Bills and Dolphins the next 2 weeks, and they're clearly not as good as those teams. Doesn't mean that they can't win. It is the NFL, right? You can see. We saw the Browns beat the Niners yesterday. We see bad teams win, right? The Jets beat the Eagles yesterday. It can happen, but it is likely to me that the Patriots are going to be 1-7, and the season is going to be even more frustrating. What is also frustrating to me is that after the game, there was no accountability from Devontae Parker, right? And we've talked a lot about the right way to handle things, right? We've talked about Mac. We've criticized Mac for his body language. We've criticized Mac for how he's handled things with Zappy, for his relationship, for some of the tantrums. If we're going to criticize Mac for stuff, we got to criticize other people as well. Devontae Parker, after the game, he whiffed, right? He whiffed in the game on that second down play, that deep ball down the sideline. Patriots were down 19-17, 2 minutes to play, second down. Could have Devontae Parker had a 40-yard catch down the field in his hands, dropped it. As a result, the Patriots end up with, 3rd and 10 or whatever. Then they get delay of games, 3rd and 15, and then Mac ends up getting sacked. Like, this is, or 4th down and Mac gets sacked. It's horrible, right? Devontae Parker played a big role in the loss. And after the game, he was asked about that drop, and this is what he had to say.
What happened on that deep ball on the last drive? It's like you got behind the coverage.
See, I don't know. What'd you see?
Looked like you got behind the coverage. The ball was there.
Yeah, that's just what happened. I was behind the coverage. Next.
Did you get your fingers on the ball?
I think my fingertips, but I didn't get a whole full grasp of it.
Do you feel like that's a ball that you can catch?
I think so. Fingertips, I don't know. But...
Look. Think so?
I am for guys having their emotions, right? I like after the game when you've lost that you're somber, right? I certainly don't want to see you smiling when you've lost. I don't want to see you happy that you just got beaten or now 1-5. So a guy who is raw and is clearly frustrated and is upset, I can endorse that. And I can understand that it's hard to get in front of the media after a game when you have played a part in the screw up, right? Devontae Parker did not lose the game for the Patriots, just like Mac Jones did not lose the game for the Patriots, just like the refs didn't lose the game for the Patriots, right? Everybody had a hand in it. So I can appreciate that it's hard for you to get in front of the media and you may not be at your most eloquent in those moments. I can understand that. But at the end of the day, Devontae Parker was given a 3-year contract extension in the offseason. They have trusted him and entrusted him as one of the leaders on this team. They have trusted and entrusted him as the leader of that wide receiver room. And that explanation there, that post-game press conference, falls short of leadership. Again, you want to be sad, you want to be angry, you want to be emotional, that's fine. But tell us that you screwed up. That's all I'm asking for. right? Look at the camera and say, I dropped it. Okay. That was a great pass. Mac's been under heat. That one's not on him. Right. That's all I want to hear. Again, I have given up caring about the results. I am now caring about other things. And in those other things are leadership, accountability, teamwork, buy-in, connectiveness, all of it. And that wasn't it. And Devontae Parker is not some rookie. If this had been Tyquan Thornton, or if this had been Pop Douglas, if he were playing, I might have excused it a little bit and chalked it up to a rookie mistake, or, hey, the kid's got to learn. Devontae Parker's in the league for 7 years at this point or whatever. He's got to know better than that. The team lost. He had a chance to make a game-changing play, stand up in front of the media and say, that was a great ball by Mac. He's been under scrutiny lately. I want you to know that one's not on him. That one's on me. Okay? They're paying me a lot of money to catch that ball. Our team was in need of a big play, and I didn't make it. I will do my best to make the next one. Right? And that won't make anybody feel better, but I can promise you it also won't make anybody feel worse, which is what those comments did yesterday. Right? That's what those comments did yesterday. Those comments made me feel worse about the situation. Zero accountability. Danny, after the game, look, Mac's upset. Mac's the quarterback. The heat's on him. He's playing for his career. He's playing for his Patriots career. He's playing for his game. He's playing for his Patriots starting job every single week. After the game, Mac got up and answered the questions like a grown-up.
I mean, obviously we just lost, so it's not good. But I think we have a really good group of guys, and if we choose to respond the right way, then it'll be really good. But if we don't, then it'll go the other way. So I know I'm gonna be positive always. That's my goal. Try to work hard like I've been doing and bring people with me. And I know we've been saying that, and the results haven't been there. So I mean, I guess maybe look at the process and see what we need to change to get better, because the results aren't there.
I mean, that's Mac clearly frustrated, but Mac speaking the way a leader speaks. And we talked last week about Dan Orlovsky saying the best thing for Mac to do is to change his leadership style and his body language and be a better teammate. And I said I doubted that he could do that. That was a good first step, right? Step up, take accountability. And for what it's worth, I know Mac was on WEEI in Boston earlier today, and we'll have this audio tomorrow. He said Parker didn't lose us the game, and it's one play, and Devontae's great. And you know what? That's what he should say. Whether he means it or not, that's what you say, because that's what the quarterback does. I don't need quarterback level leadership from my wide receiver, but when you've been given a 3-year contract, when you're making nearly $40 million, when you are a guy that they chose to bring in or bring back over Jacoby Myers, and when Pop Douglas isn't playing, and when Juju Smith-Schuster's not playing, and you are one of really 2 veteran options out there on the field alongside Kendrick Bourne, that's a play you've got to make. And if you don't, you got to step up and take responsibility for it. Don't tell us it hit you in the fingertips. It didn't. It hit you right in the hands. Don't tell us you think you can catch that ball. You can. Devontae Parker is supposed to be the 50-50 guy, and that was a 90-10 catch. That was a 100-0 catch. No, that was the best ball Mac Jones has thrown all year, and Devontae Parker muffed it. And just get up and tell us that you muffed it. That's all I'm asking for. I'm asking for some accountability. Danny, I got audio from Patriots galore all season long when this team screws up, answering the questions like grown-ups. Devontae Parker didn't do it. Here's David Andrews talking about Mac on October 2nd after they got their clock cleaned by Dallas.
I think we all have some confidence issues after a performance like that. It's a team game, right? So, I think it's all of us that got to look in the mirror, got to correct everything. It's not just his fault. It's a team game. We got to do better. Everybody's got to hold up their end of the bargain, right? It'll never be one person's fault.
So, I mean, that is Media 101. It's all of us. It's not on one guy, and we all got to be better. Devontae Parker could have said that too. Hey, we've all challenged each other to be better, and today I didn't hold up my end of the bargain. Mac, I'm sorry. I'll do my best to get the next one. And you may think this sounds childish, or why are you harping on this? But this is now the kind of thing that matters, is locker room connectivity, right? If this team is going to win 3 games this year, or 5 games this year, or 6 games this year, they're going to have to stay together, because they're not going to the playoffs. So it's going to be very, very easy for guys to splinter off and do their own thing. If they are going to pull together and win some games, they're going to have to be a strong unit. And Devontae Parker not having accountability is not a way to do that. 802-585-3026. Texter says, Yeah, this makes me upset. Parker's acting like we didn't see it hit him in the palms. It's stereotypical of a guy who wears number 1 to say something like that. Also, I don't know about that. Texter says, totally agree. Other texter says, 1-7 is happening. We are no good. Mac needs to go back to Alabama. See you later. Let's talk about the quarterback position, right? But first, let me answer this text. Peter says, I wonder what Belichick, in his own expectation, truly expects the Patriots' record to be when the season ends. If he believed this is a winning team, then he may be naive. Well, he put the team together, right? He clearly thought this was a winning team. And I'm not excusing it, but he's a couple plays away on either side from it being a winning team. He is. The Patriots, to me, do not have enough talent to overcome the mistakes that they've made. But if they played perfectly, they have enough talent to have won some of the games that they've lost. So it is fair for them to say they're better than 1-5, right? They're better than 1-5. They may not end up better than 1-5, or they won't end up better than 1-5, given that's where they are. But they're better than 1-5. But Bill Belichick, the GM, has not done a good job. He has not given enough of. He has not given this team enough talent. Tex says, "I agree with you." How does Danny see it? Danny, the people want your opinion.
Devontae Parker. I didn't want him when we got him.
Are you upset with how he handled things?
Yes.
Okay.
Every good receiver says I can catch that ball. That's on me.
Well, look, receivers are known to be prima donnas, right? This is a receiver thing.
Which is why they have the confidence to catch absolutely everything. Even if it's not catchable, they'll say, oh, I could have got that.
Yeah, I think you're giving receivers as a whole too much credit, right? Really accountable players always take the rap and always take the blame for themselves. Receivers are not necessarily inclined to be that way. But when you are the veteran receiver in the room, when you're paid, I believe he's the highest paid receiver in the room. If not, he's right behind Juju. It's not too far off. It might even be the exact same. I'd have to go and check that. But when you are making, $30 million or whatever it is that Parker's making, you got to make the play, but you also got to handle it right in the locker room. And he didn't do that yesterday, as far as I'm concerned. Let me answer the question about the quarterback position, because I've seen this a bunch of places on the text line or on social media. What happened with the quarterback position? So, okay, yesterday, the Patriots started Mac Jones. They designated him as quarterback 1. No big deal. They activated Malik Cunningham. They designated him as quarterback 2, yet he did not throw any passes, and in warmups, all he did was play wide receiver. So they designated him at quarterback 2, but only played him at receiver. Then the emergency quarterback was Bailey Zappi, and then inactive was Will Grier. So I disagree with that right off the top. I would want to see Will Grier before Zappi. They put Zappi higher, and they made Grier inactive, so we were never going to see Grier yesterday. I disagreed with that. So there's 1. 2, what happened with Malik Cunningham is kind of hard to explain, so I'm going to try my very best to do it slowly, and do it correctly. Here is how the NFL quarterback rules work. You are allowed to have 2 active quarterbacks and then an emergency quarterback. And the emergency quarterback is your third quarterback. That's who Zappi was. He is allowed to go in the game only if your first 2 quarterbacks get hurt. So Zappi was not on the active roster on game day, but he's the emergency quarterback, meaning that if Mac and Cunningham got hurt, he's allowed to go in the game. This is the rule last year we saw in the 49ers game, right? Where Brock Purdy got hurt, and then Josh Johnson got hurt, and then the Niners were going to be left with Christian McCaffrey because they didn't have a third quarterback. Like, this rule didn't exist then, and they don't want that to happen to teams anymore. So Zappi could only have played if Mac and Cunningham got hurt. So then people say, well, why was Cunningham made the second quarterback? This is where it gets a little confusing. Your second quarterback is allowed to play any position on the field. Your emergency quarterback can only play quarterback, right? Your emergency quarterback can only play quarterback. So for people who wanted Malik Cunningham to come in and play quarterback, well, if he was made the emergency quarterback, he could only play quarterback, and he could only get in if Zappi and Mac got hurt, right? If you had Zappi 2, Mac 1, he could have only come in and played quarterback. He couldn't have played receiver. He couldn't have done anything trickery-wise, and he could only come in if they got hurt. By putting him as number 2, they were allowed to play him anywhere on the field. And that is why you saw him split out to wide receiver, and come in and do different things. So do I think the Patriots were embarrassing the quarterback position or tanking the quarterback position, as I heard people say? No, I think they were trying to outsmart the room, as has been a Bill Belichick thing for a number of years now, right? Trying to outsmart the room. I believe that's what Bill Belichick was trying to do. He's like, look, we got this kid. He could be a bit of a weapon. If we put him at quarterback number 2, then we can line him up all over the field, and we can do what we want with him. We can have him pass a little bit, and if Mac got hurt, then sure, then we can have him play quarterback too. But mainly, they wanted to be able to use him at receiver, and his actual position for the year is designated as quarterback. So since he's actually designated as quarterback, he has to be on the depth chart at quarterback in order to play. So they put him at quarterback number 2. That allowed him to be able to play wide receiver. Danny, it's confusing. Have I made it make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
Ask the texters.
Now, sometimes I care more about what you
did. It make sense? Yes or no? Everybody text in.
802-585-3026. Peter says, we demand more input from Danny. What are Danny's thoughts on if Kraft announced tomorrow that Belichick will not be back in 2024? You don't have to answer that.
I love hypotheticals.
Will says, this is a bad football team put together by Belichick. Where is his accountability? It's a fair question, right? It's a fair question.
He'll never have to answer it.
Well, he might have to answer to it. I don't know that he'll have to answer it because he's not going to answer it, right? He's not built that way. He's not going to give us what we want at the podium. The GM should have to speak about the state of the team and the state of the roster. I think that's fair, right? We hear it in baseball all the time around the trade deadline. We hear NFL GMs talk at the trade deadline. Belichick should have to talk about the accountability of roster building. And no, he's not going to, and no, he's not wired to do that. We're going to get back into the Patriots. 802-585-3026. Steve says, perfectly clear explanation. Well, thank you very much. That's good. I'm glad. Because, again, it was confusing to me, too, at first, right? It was confusing to me, too, at first, why Cunningham was in the game as number 2, and that was because he had to be listed as a quarterback, so they had to put him at 2, and he had to play they wanted him to play another position. Now, we can quibble about how many times he was used. We can quibble about how many plays he got to make. He didn't throw any passes. Here is what the whole thing signified to me, Danny. Mac Jones was never going to come out of the game yesterday. That was the biggest takeaway I had from all of it, is that we heard leading up to the game from Ian Rappaport and others that Mac Jones was on a short leash. He was never going to get pulled by the basis of how the quarterbacks were situated. Cunningham was number 2. They wanted to use him at wide receiver. They worked him out at wide receiver. So as a result of your second quarterback working out with wide receivers, you were never going to bench Mac. Zappy was not going to be an option unless everybody got hurt. Greer was not an option at all because he was made inactive. So this was not a situation, apparently, where Mac was going to have to fear for his life and look over his shoulder because there was Zappy hanging over it. Zappy was not an option unless Mac and Cunningham got hurt. And it was clear they were never going to go to Cunningham because they didn't want to use him as a quarterback. So that was really my biggest takeaway of the whole thing. Malik Cunningham, by the way, is not a Hail Mary for this team. He is a fun Swiss Army knife type player who I hope can carve out a future in this league, but whether it be a quarterback or a multi-position thing or whatever. Right? Danny, you were texting me, use him like Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
You can't use him like Taysom Hill because he's not as big as Taysom Hill, right? Taysom Hill can line up at running back, can line up at fullback, can block, can line up at tight end. That's not Malik Cunningham, right? He is much thinner than Taysom Hill. He could probably only be a quarterback or a wideout or a return specialist. Those are the only things that he could do. So 802-585-3026. We will get back into the Patriots. I got a lot to get to still there. I want to get on the local front. UVM men's hockey been through a lot of controversy this season, a lot of tumult. They've got a new guy at the helm of the program. That's Steven Wiedler. They split their season opening series this weekend, right? They beat St. Lawrence. They lost to Clarkson on a North Country swing. So the Catamounts are 1-1. All in all, I think a pretty good start. I've never spoken to Steven Wiedler. I'm going to ask him about what the offseason was like and what he likes about this team as the season really gets going. Steven Wiedler, UVM men's hockey interim head coach, with us next on DEV.
Come experience the Vermont Fall Tradition. 2 shows for the price of one. The Champlain Valley Craft Show and Antique Expo returns Friday, October 20th and is open Sunday through October 22nd at the Champlain Valley Expo in Essex Junction. Over 150 booths of American-made arts, crafts, specialty foods, and antiques. Come and meet the makers of fine crafts, including photography, stained glass, country wood crafts, primitives, folk art, steampunk, fine jewelry, pottery, wearable art, basketry, fiber arts, and so much more. Check out the Antique Expo featuring dozens of dealers of authentic antiques and vintage collectibles. Enjoy the tastes of warm Vermont fall foods and smells, or sample gourmet specialty foods including jams, jellies, nuts, fudges, oils, wine slushies, jerky, and more. We hope to see you at the Champlain Valley Craft Show and Antique Expo. More information at castleberryfairs.com. The Champlain Valley Craft Show and Antique Expo, proudly sponsored by WCAX.
At Rise Up Bakery and Berry, they're not just baking bread, they're crafting works of art. Their wide variety of breads are long fermented, naturally leavened, and baked to perfection in a traditional wood-fired hearth oven. Each loaf is a testament to their knowledge, passion, and years of experience. Pre-order your selection to pick up at Rise Up Bakery Wednesday through Friday, 12:30 until 6. For details, visit Rise Up Bakery at 48 Granite Street in Barrie or online at riseupbakeryvt.com.
If you are considering joining the Vermont National Guard, there are so many opportunities. What do you want to do? Do you want to learn about HR practices? Do you want to do construction? Do you want to be an electrician? Do you want to learn IT? I'm Staff Sergeant Niels Huisman, Vermont Army National Guard. The training is paid for. You're going to get in amazing shape. You're going to get certifications. You can do that in the Vermont National Guard too and broaden your experience while getting paid to do this.
Visit vtguard.com to find out more. Sponsored by the Vermont Army National Guard.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Stephen Wiedler, UVM hockey coach, is standing by. Text says Malik Cunningham can hopefully be as good as Josh Cribbs was. Josh Cribbs, if you remember, was a return guy. He was a quarterback in college at Kent State. He was a return guy for the Browns, and he was electric in the return game. He was 6'1", 215. Cunningham is listed at 6 foot 200. So he's smaller than Cribbs. It's not an imperfect comparison, but he is still tinier than that. For comparison, Julian Edelman was 5'10", 200. So Malik Cunningham is Julian Edelman size, but lankier. So again, he's not built to do what Taysom Hill does. He's built to be a gadget player. And, you know, again, if he really went to be a receiver, he could be a slot guy. I mean, but we're not there yet. So Texter also says, we value Danny's opinion. We love basketball, Danny. He's coming along well, Brady. Danny is excellent at basketball, and we are going to talk about, we're going to use Danny a lot in basketball season. Danny is our Celtics expert. He's Mr. Preseason, right? He's watched every single Celtics preseason game, every minute of it, and he's going to watch every minute of every regular season game as well. So we're absolutely going to be using Danny for basketball. I watch a lot of Celtics games too. Between the Celtics, the Bruins, UVM, and the Patriots, I do not watch every minute of every Celtics game, but Danny does. So, and as for him coming along, I knew he was going to be great at this job, and he is great at this job. So, Danny, would you say 82 preseason games, do you watch every minute of every one?
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
Will you not do things based on a Celtics game going on? Like if I asked you to go out for a drink at a TV-less bar on a Celtics game night at 9 p.m., would you not go because there was a Celtics game?
No, we got it in the DVR. I mean, I can go find it, watch it back easily.
Oh, but so you're going to watch the game after, like you'll watch it on tape?
Yeah. If it's an hour in, you skip through all the commercials, you get to the game even faster.
Will you avoid knowing what happened? Like, don't call me, don't text me, no social media?
Yeah, I'll make the mistake of going on Twitter or X or whatever they call it now, and seeing the score at the end of the third quarter. But yeah, try to avoid that.
Yeah, see, out of 162 Mariners games, true story, I think I watched all or part of like 130 this year, which, I mean, in a baseball season, I think that's pretty good.
That's a fan.
But the idea that you can get to 82 of 82, that is something. And the whole watching the game on tape thing, I like that for the reasons you say, but it's so hard to avoid social media for me to avoid what happened. And I hate watching a game that's already happened where I already know the result. Like in the playoffs, I can't remember. It was last year in the playoffs. I don't remember what I had going on, but I had something going on. And I ended up taping the Celtics-Sixers game, one of the Celtics-Sixers game, and watching it back at like 11 p.m. And it was like I couldn't go on my phone for 4 hours here, which was rough. Texter says, please name me a bar without a TV. How about a bar that doesn't play the Celtics? How about a bar that's all Bruins or all current events? I was hanging out at the American Legion in my hometown last time I was home, and they had a Yankee game on one TV and the news on another and the Golf Channel on the third. So they weren't watching everything in there. So fine. They may all have televisions, but they ain't all got the Celtics game on. Texter says, I get 120 Red Sox games in between going to the games, WDEV, Nesson, and the national feed. 120 Red Sox game is good. Shout out you listening on DEV. Much appreciated. And that's great. So we endorse that. But yeah, I think I got through 130 or so Mariners games. Right now, I got to get to our guy, Stephen Wiedler, though. Stephen Wiedler, the interim head coach of the University of Vermont men's hockey team, took over for Todd Woodcroft in a controversial summer for the program. Steve Wiedler is with us now after the team split their season opening weekend, beating St. Lawrence and then losing on the road at Clarkson. Coach, our first time talking with you. Thanks for being with us. How are you?
I'm good, Brady. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you being with us here. I got to say, before we get into your team, I appreciate your story. As a product of D3 athletics myself, it's nice to see the D3 guys taking up the coaching ranks here at the D1 level. Congrats.
Thanks on that, Brady. And then where did you play? You played baseball, right?
Baseball at Oswego State, also a good hockey program.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I have two cousins that played baseball at Oswego State. So probably before your time, I think they were my first cousin was probably in the early 90s, and then his brother, 4 or 5 years after that. Okay. So you probably didn't play with them, but they're both Oswego State baseball alums.
Maybe when when all three of us get inducted into the Lakers Hall of Fame, we'll catch up.
There you go.
So you win the first game this weekend. You drop the back half for the doubleheader. What do you like about your team so far in the early going?
Well, I really liked our fight. I think that everybody around college hockey knows going into the North Country is a hostile environment. It's not friendly confines for any visiting team. And our guys' ability to go in against St. Lawrence and play a very strong game and come out on top against a well-coached team that obviously was no easy feat. And our guys really did play a very structured, but then also energetic game against SLU. So it was nice to see that. And certain guys finding success, right? Like even the guys that didn't end up on the point sheet, they were creating offense or bringing us some great depth on defense. And so it was good top to bottom. And then you go into Clarkson, and obviously that's another great opponent and another hostile building. And, maybe didn't get to our identity right away and go down on the road and have to fight back. And when our staff asked our guys to fight and to work their way back into that game, they did. They never gave up. They got that thing tied up late in the third, and then you go into overtime and 3-on-3 hockey, and anything could happen. And, we had an unfortunate turnover. Those things kind of happen, but you got to focus on the process of building. And I thought our guys did some really good things within that game as well.
3-1 win on Friday, 3-2 loss on Saturday. So that's 5 goals scored for the weekend, which, given where this program has been offensively the last couple of years, I have to imagine that's a pretty good output for early in the season.
Yeah, I would say that, we're not satisfied with that output. I think, we will never be satisfied with that, and we'll never be satisfied with a loss or a losing effort, because at the end of the day, that's what Clarkson was. But at the same time, we are growing, and, we have to understand, and our guys have to understand that we're not asking for perfection, right? That's not something that we're asking for. What we're asking for is, what do they do when the situation isn't perfect, when they make a mistake, and how do they react to that mistake, and how do they go about getting us back on the right side of that ledger? So that's been the focus for us. We've been more process driven, and we saw a little bit of that success come out over the weekend.
We've heard a lot of that word lately in the last couple of years out of this program, process. It hasn't always been about results. It's been about building and culture building, et cetera. What would you say the expectations are for the program right now, or what are the expectations you have?
Well, I think that's twofold. I think if our staff could sit back at the end of the year and our players down to a man can clearly define what our process is and clearly define what our culture is, and they can tell you exactly what it means to be a Catamount and what are the standards that come along with that. If everybody in that room can do that, then we had success internally as a program, right? So that would be a marker of success for us, is for our guys to be able to, clearly define those standards of what it means to wear the logo. But part two is you can't make the mistake of not talking about winning. Like, we want to win. We want, every time we step foot on the ice, we're trying to win the hockey game. And as a staff, we're going to make calculated moves that maybe are in the ambition of winning, and maybe not always the safest move. Maybe we want to be trying to drive forward and going for that win. So even down to personnel moves. Late in the third, there was a D-zone draw against Clarkson. We're tied up. We get Boyalski out onto the ice, and it's a D-zone draw. And everybody that watches Andre knows he creates offense. And maybe that's a spot where you put a more calculated defensive player. But you know what? Andre has to grow within the program too. So let's put confidence in Andre that he can play a D-zone draw for us. And then guess what? When we get the puck, it's offense time. So taking those calculated steps to letting our players know that we're going for the win at all times. We're trying to win these hockey games every time we step foot on the ice.
Stephen Wiedler with us here, the UVM men's hockey coach on the Brady Farkas show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. A lot of tumult in the program this summer. We covered it on this show. For you personally, how do you kind of go about dealing with what is a tough situation for the program? And I imagine for you personally, given that Todd brought you onto the staff, but then also flipping the switch and recognizing you personally have a really great opportunity to run your own program, at least for this year and hopefully beyond.
I think it's just about being real with yourself and the situation, and acknowledging both sides of that coin. You can be grateful, which I am, to Todd. You can owe Todd, which I do, for him bringing me here to Catamount Country. I love this place and I love this program, and I wouldn't have had that opportunity without Todd. So you can be grateful and still understand that you have a job to do. And the task is the same as when I came here. This program has been down, and we have to get it back up where it belongs. So, over my 3 years, it hasn't been mission accomplished yet, and we have to continue to work towards that goal. So from a mindset standpoint, it was more about redefining exactly how we were going to do that. Is, getting in with our staff and talking with Scott Mosier and Brendan Bradley, and obviously Shane when he came on, and Jeff Schulman and Joe Gervais. What's the next step? How do we grow? What do we have to do different? And just attacking that on a daily process. So I think you got to be able to recognize both sides of that coin and understand that there's nothing wrong with either of them. They're both true, and you have to just get to work on every Monday.
I coached college baseball for a couple of years, so I asked this question as kind of a recruiting nerd, but also with a little bit of D1 ignorance to it. When Todd leaves, we're all wondering, okay, what's going to happen to all the recruits? What's going to happen to all the recruits? Is that something that's really tough for you to go and try to call everybody individually to try to save their commitments? Or have they been dealing with you more than anybody else all along throughout the process? So it's fairly easy because you already have the good rapport with everyone.
Well, the recruiting landscape in NCAA Division I hockey has changed so much just from when I even got into this about 10 years ago. But that being said, recruiting is a staff endeavor. There's very few players, I think, on any staff in the nation where it's solely one guy that recruits them all the way down. and builds a relationship with them, and they don't talk to other parts of the staff. So, I would say that any guy that we have committed has talked to all members of our staff, and that's even true when Todd was still here. So it was easy in the sense that I had relationships with everybody. I knew the parents, I knew the kids and the advisors, and we went about right away making those phone calls on day one, and attacking that head on and leaning on those relationships. The other thing that really helped is our guys, our current players. I believe that your players are your best recruiters.
Mm-hmm.
So if they believe in the program and the place and the direction of the coaching staff, and they can speak to their personal experience, well, then that's carries way more weight than anything that Scott or I could say to a family, right? So letting those guys take care of, freshmen and young guys, and maybe they know because they're all connected via social media and everything else. They all play against each other in the different junior leagues, and those guys were our best recruiters. And a big, I've said this before in interviews, but what Will Zappernick and Joel Mata did for this program over the summer after everything that went down was unbelievable. And those guys deserve a lot of the credit too.
Got to ask you just a fun question for myself before I get you out of here. I'm a guy who loves the Olympics. I love international competition and everything. You've coached at the World Juniors, coached for Norway a couple of years ago. What was that experience like for you?
It was, it was a great experience. Their staff, and I'm still tight with those guys to this day.
Are you Norwegian? Is this a country thing, or is this a coaching recruitment thing?
Yeah, it was really, that all came together over about probably a 6-month period, but I'm not Norwegian in any way. Todd knew the head coach, Tobias Johansson. And then I had booked Tobias to speak at our coaches convention. Yep. And then through networking, that just kind of came together. But the whole experience of it was awesome. It was unbelievable. The pride that these kids play with and the passion they play with through that whole tournament. And just the tournament of itself, like it is hockey 24/7. It's go, go, go. And it's like this crazy experience for 2 weeks, and you really grind through it together as a staff and a team. And it's really unique to see all the kids having so much pride in the different countries and the flags and everything else. So it's great. Scott Mosier is going to continue to do his thing with Team Slovakia. He'll be at the World Juniors again this year. So it's a unique thing, and you kind of fall in love with it once you do it once.
Stephen Wiedler, UVM men's hockey coach. Catamounts are 1-1. They're going to be back on the ice this weekend, taking on Providence. That's a Hockey East matchup with the Friars, and then we'll see them at home against UConn a couple of weeks down the road. Stephen, congratulations on the early season success. We're looking forward to more of it later as well, and we'll check in down the road.
Thanks, Brady. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. There goes Stephen Wiedler, the UVM men's hockey interim head coach. I ask you, 802-585-3026, what was your impression? That was our first time talking to him. I had never spoken to Stephen Wiedler before, at least on the air. I do believe we'd met, but I never spoken to him on the air. What was your impression, right? This is a guy who's trying to get the full-time job in Catamount country. What'd you think of him? I'll be honest. I'll tell you, I was impressed, right? And as I said from the start, Todd Woodcroft was great to me, and Todd Woodcroft was great to this show. That does not mean that he was great all the time. We still don't have all the details as to what happened or what was alleged to have happened at UVM with Coach Woodcroft. I was impressed by Stephen Wiedler, and I was impressed he answered the questions that I wanted answered, right? And I appreciate people who, just in life, doesn't matter what it is, I appreciate people in life who can see two sides to something. And who can recognize that things are complicated, right? Like we all see this with politics, right? We know people who are so far to the right or people who are so far to the left, they can't see the other side. Those people are annoying to me, at least, right? Those people, I'm speaking for myself, those people are annoying to me because they can't see anything but their team. Stephen Wiedler, to me, just showed he can recognize the nuance in situations. He said, I can understand that I owe Todd and that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. But at the same time, I can be grateful for the opportunity I have and just go to work. And that impresses me. And I think his recruiting background, getting the players to stay was a huge thing. The recruiting background, the relationship cultivation that he has, the ability to connect. I can tell he's well-spoken, right? Like, if you're a good interviewer with me, I think you're probably pretty well-spoken to your team. That's good. That's impressive. And look, the team is 1-1. And I don't pretend to know anything about St. Lawrence or Clarkson, but they're two traditionally good programs. They're not as good as Hockey East programs, but to be 1-1 out of the first weekend, given where this program has been over the last several years and given where that program was this summer, I would say that's an accomplishment. And to score 5 goals over the span of 2 games, he's not going to tell me he's satisfied, but I got to believe that that was an accomplishment as well. So I'm a fan of Stephen Wiedler, 1 interview in, 1 weekend in, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But we'll definitely be talking to him again. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We'll wrap up our Patriots conversation next on DEV.
Vermont's most innovative companies will be at the Vermont Tech Jam, powered by 7 Days on Saturday, October 21st at Hula in Burlington. Looking for work? At the Tech Jam, you'll meet recruiters face-to-face. Beta Technologies will be there, and Marvell, Core Power, VIP, Data Innovations, and National Life, too. Put on some real pants, step away from your remote desk, and step onto Hula's Lakeside Tech campus. Want to be inspired? Learn about lab-grown meat. Hear from Dr. Rachel Floriani and Irfan Tahir, 2 University of Vermont researchers who explain how they help grow cell-cultured meat. Should Vermont embrace cellular agriculture? To register for the Vermont Tech Jam presented by Hula and Marvell on Saturday, October 21st, visit techjamvt.com. That's techjamvt.com.
The 18th annual Big Dog Daddy Urine Clearance Sale is going strong at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Tell them, bro. Folks, take it from me that you can tune out all the noises about strikes and supply shortages. Right now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, our lot is full as it has ever been over the last 4 years, with over 200 new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs available. And with the new models incoming, it is time for us to sell down our inventory now, and that means you can save money with deals like this. Right now, current Chevy owners can take up to $10,000 off MSRP on a new in-stock Silverado at Lamoille Valley Chevy. And you shoppers, listen to this. Not only will you find one of the largest selections of new Chevy car, truck, and SUVs at Lamoille Valley Chevrolet, but our lot is also packed with late model, low mileage, pre-owned vehicles, including many that are certified pre-owned and some with a better warranty than a brand new car. Folks, at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we have the inventory, and most of all, we have the desire to make deals and earn your business. So come get an awesome deal at the Big Dog Daddy Urine Clearance Sale happening now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, located just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont. And remember, at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we know price matters.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Hi, I am Dr. Sarah Waterman, a general surgeon at Copley Hospital. In addition to offering general surgery care, I have a special interest in women's breast care. Mammograms are an important screening. They can save lives by finding breast cancer in its earliest stages, often when most treatable. Stage 1 breast cancer has a 99.1% survival rate. Guidelines now suggest women get their first mammogram at age 40. However, if you have a family history of breast cancer or certain cancers, your practitioner will recommend screening at an earlier age. Thanks to you, we will soon be able to perform stereotactic biopsies right here at Copley, in addition to our current mammography and breast ultrasound programs. To learn more about mammograms and women's health at Copley, check out my blog at copleyvt.org. To schedule your mammogram, call Copley's Radiology Department at 802-888-8358.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
This is Freddie Coleman of ESPN, and you're listening to the Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Updated the ALCS right now. Rangers lead the Astros 5-3 in the 7th. We're going to have game 1 of the NLCS on tonight, 7:30 with our coverage. That's Phillies and Diamondbacks, game 1 from Philadelphia. Zach Wheeler against Zach Gallen. First pitch is just after 8. Text coming in, 802-585-3026. My guy Ralph over in New York says, good interview with Coach Wiedler. Phil in Middlesex says, good interview as well. So appreciate that. And again, it's more about him than it is about me. I thought that he was excellent. I look forward to talking to him more down the road. Interesting conundrum out of the Patriots game, or interesting post-game sound, rather, out of the Patriots game. So I don't know if you heard this or heard about this, but Adam Butler is a player who plays for the Raiders. He's a defensive lineman. He used to play for the Patriots. And after the game, he was very, very salty that Bill Belichick did not seek him out and talk to him. Danny, let me hear what Butler had to say at his locker after the game.
It did make me very upset that, Bill didn't even have the respect for me to say anything after the game. Not even congratulate me. You can't, tell me, you look good or you don't look good, whatever. Kiss my ass, something. But didn't say anything. So it kind of felt, disrespected. Made me feel kind of, made me feel bad. But I know Coach Belichick has bigger things to worry about, obviously. They're going through a tough time. But I mean, shit, say a wave, like something, but.
So Adam Butler says he felt disrespected that Belichick didn't say anything to him after the game. He doesn't necessarily care what it was, but he wanted him to say something to him. I ask you on the text line, 802-585-3026, does he have a point? Does he have a point? Danny, I have my answer on this, but I actually want to kind of crowdsource here for a second. So I want to give the texters a chance to get in on this, but I also want to ask you, does Adam Butler have a point?
I think the context might matter. Like, did he actively avoid Adam, like after the game, or did he just ignore him? Yeah, if he actively ignored him, that's kind of wrong, I would say.
See, I get where Adam Butler is coming from. If I'm Adam Butler, if I'm in that, I'm feeling the same way. But as an impartial person, as a third party, as a person from 30,000 feet, he doesn't have a leg to stand on, right? So I'll address the first point first. If I'm Adam Butler, I get why he's offended. I do, right? I would be offended too. Some people are more sensitive to this stuff. Some people couldn't care less. I am someone who would be more sensitive, right? If I went someplace and was at a function where my old boss was, and my old boss didn't come and talk to me, I'd be furious because you know what? I gave my blood, sweat, and my tears, literally in the NFL, to that boss. And to be ignored would bother me. It wasn't like Adam Butler had a cup of coffee with the Patriots. Adam Butler played 4 full seasons in New England. And you know what? He was healthy for all of them. He played 16 games in 2017. He played 16 games in 2018. He played 16 games in 2019. And he played 15 games in the pandemic year of 2020. So he was available. He performed, right? We're talking about a defensive tackle who had 6 sacks in 2019. This guy was a good player. Is he a great player? Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he an All-Pro? No, but he's a good NFL player. So if I'm Adam Butler and I was drafted, and by the way, Adam Butler won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. Let's remember that as well, right? Like he won a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. So if I was drafted, developed, cultivated, helped you win a Super Bowl, played 4 years, was always available, and you don't talk to me, Brady Farkas would be offended. That said, from 30,000 feet, he doesn't have a leg to stand on. One, Bill Belichick doesn't embrace with anybody after the game. Josh McDaniels worked with Bill Belichick for 2 decades. And their handshake after the game lasted about 15 seconds. If Josh McDaniels gets 15 seconds, no one else is getting anything, right? There are a million former Patriots on the Raiders. Bill Belichick didn't talk to any of them. Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt. He got taken to the hospital. He didn't talk to Bill. Jacoby Myers said he didn't talk to Bill all day. And Jacoby Myers was on the team last year and was the leading receiver for the last 3 consecutive seasons. And he didn't get any time with Bill Belichick. Adam Butler hasn't played for the Patriots since 2020, right? He's on his 2nd team since the Patriots. He went to Miami. He missed all of last season. And now he's with Vegas, right? We're 3 years removed from his last Patriots game. So if Jacoby Myers can't get any FaceTime with Bill, then he's not going to get it either. I get why he's upset. I'd be upset also. But looking at it from the other side, or looking at it from a third party point of view, there's nothing there. Okay, there's nothing there. 802-585-3026. It's disappointing. I'd be disappointed, but if Josh McDaniels gets 10 seconds, you ain't getting more than 10 seconds. Trust me. Man, there's like 2.5 minutes left. There's a bunch of things I want to get to here from the Patriots. I think what we're going to do is save a lot of that for tomorrow. And Danny, let me just tell you about this phenomenon that I was turned on to over the weekend. Your generation and people younger than you have all gone mad as far as I'm concerned. I went to the gym once again this weekend. It's kind of becoming my Saturday thing. Go to the gym, play basketball with guys who are younger than me, right? Like all these guys who were playing at 3:00 in the afternoon on Saturday are all younger than me. There was one guy who was 42 who was older than me. Everybody else was 27 or under for the most part. And like I'm talking like as young as 18 probably. There were probably 30 people in the gym. Of those 30 people, I would say half of them were wearing pants to play basketball. And I don't mean wearing like the tights that you see under shorts. I'm talking about wearing actual cotton pants.
Like sweatpants?
Yes. I used to make fun of people that tried to play basketball in pants. I would not let guys on the court who were playing basketball in pants. Basketball is a shorts-driven game.
Feels like an Arnie move.
And your generation is wearing pants. Because you know what has happened? Right? Like I'm of the generation where everything was baggy. Right? My sweatpants are baggy. They don't have cuffing at the bottom of them. Your generation is all about the joggers. So the jogger pants have the tight ankles, so you can actually move in them, right? Like my sweatpants are so big and baggy that I'll step over them and fall if I try to run in them. Your generation's playing in these pants that are tight at the bottom that you can actually run in. So you can actually have a comfort level in running in them. I can get that. But how are you not sweating to death inside these gyms going up and down playing basketball? That's what I don't get. It's less about the comfort or safety of it, because those pants you can run in. But how are you not sweating profusely and being uncomfortable? Can you defend your generation here?
No, not at all. I would never.
Thank you.
I would never.
I would never wear sweatpants to play basketball. I can wear the tights, right?
Yeah,
like I'll wear
compression tights. People actually use that for good reasons.
Yes, compression tights under shorts is one thing. And I do that too. I've done that plenty of times. But actual full-blown pants is nothing. I used to make fun of guys. I was like, oh, the guy in pants? Okay, well, let me guard him. I'll take him to school. Let me go up against that guy. Oh, that guy's wearing pants. He can't play. Now everybody's wearing pants. And I'm like, what? This is a back in my day thing. Like my generation thing would never. It's ridiculous. So making me feel older than I am. That's it for us. What a way to end the show. We got a lot of stuff on the Patriots to get to tomorrow, no doubt. And I want to get to this Red Sox stuff. I didn't get to any of the Red Sox stuff that I wanted to involving Kim Ng. A lot of stuff there as well. We're going to get to that. So go download the podcast. Thanks to Stephen Wiedler for stopping by. Thanks to Danny for being here as well, producing and engineering the program as always. We'll be back at it again tomorrow for a full show, all 90 minutes. We're on from 5:30 until 7 here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Jazz music is coming up next.
Even when we can't be together, Vermonters know